Okay. Well, hello. Here we are recording our first one, not together in the same little room.
Yes, for those of you that are not watching us on YouTube, we are for the first time recording in two different locations. We're both at our houses, and
Mhm.
we figured more than anything, we thought maybe this would just to give it a try because our lives are very busy, and this would be really convenient if we were able to do this every now and then. I still like being in
Yeah.
our own place
Yeah.
together, but this is a good alternative. So,
This is a great example of how it's good to do something different because it challenges you a little. Because I'm really like, ooh, I like the routine better. I like.
yes, I do too. I definitely do too.
So
So
this is great.
let's do some life updates, Melinda. What's going on with you?
Honestly, I've shared with Jennifer right before we started. I've got kind of my hair covering it, but I had to have a little procedure done on my face, skin cancer, and just not fun, but it didn't go as
It is that reminder to all of us though to get those yearly skin checks.
yeah, it really is. And
Mhm.
I have a great dermatologist, and so and I don't like dread going or anything. So it was it really was pretty seamless, all things considered, compared to when I've had this before. But it's my mom was like, "How do you even have one in your hair?" And I said, "Mom, you were on the boat with me all of my life that we spent on the water, and I have freckles, and I had like auburn hair as a little girl. I was like, I don't know if there's enough zinc oxide on the planet for you to protect me. But it's
Yeah.
worth it. I mean, I love all of my memories on the water. But yeah, so I've just been doing that this week, and the weather's just been kind of gloomy. And so that kind of has almost literally been a good thing for me. And
Right.
I don't know how much I've complained here about the puppy, but he's kind of calming down.
Yay! He's
I don't know if I've
growing up.
I don't know if I've complained as much as the amount of real estate the complaints take up in my brain, but, he actually has been pretty much a cuddle, so I think we're getting better. He's 10 months
That's
old.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, 10 months
Mhm.
old.
So
That is the
I think
best.
we're yep, I think he's getting a little better, so that's a huge relief, but what's going on with you?
So sweet. It's just been kind of busy. Alumni Cookie Dough is going in all sorts of different directions, and so juggling that with teaching full time and doing the podcast, and it's all stuff that I love. So
Mhm.
that's really what makes it doable. Um, the kids are, just keeping up with the 5 kids, and, Mike was out of town this weekend. Him and Drayton, who was his oldest, they went to, the Jacksonville Vikings game in Jacksonville. It's actually today, it's on Sunday when we're recording, so they're having a good father-son. Drayton graduates next month from Georgia Southern, so this is a good time for them to kind of be together and bond. So, but yeah, they're having a blast. So I've had some alone time yesterday. I just had me day. Um,
Oh, fun.
did not plan anything. Completely was on my own schedule, and it was delightful. Went and got a massage and came home
Nice.
and watched the Georgia game, which was not great, but,
Yikes, and
it
did
was
massage.
yeah, we just forget about that. But, this is actually going to be released the Monday of Thanksgiving week. So,
Mhm.
I think that's fun to kinda keep in mind and, um, think about that as well. Thinking about Thanksgiving, Melinda, what is your stance on when to decorate for Christmas? I know this is seems like people are extra opinionated about this and
Yeah, they really
some
are.
people feel very strongly. What is your stance?
Well, I think I don't really have one anymore. I think when when I was growing up, my mom did it the old way where you had fall stuff out. My mom's also, though, as you can relate, my mom's also a retired teacher. So everything
Mhm.
has its season because, you don't flip everything in your classroom until you flip everything. So our house operated the same way. So it was not in my mom's back in the day. It was not Christmas until Thanksgiving was over because I can tell
Right.
you, even right now, she and my dad live out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And I promise you, she has got harvest theme to the nines. It will not go down until after Thanksgiving. So if I did all that still, I would probably honor that. But my poor girls, they love when I decorate. I didn't do any fall stuff hardly this year. I mean, embarrassingly
Right.
little. And so I don't know. I think it's just been year to year for me. It hasn't mattered that much. I haven't ever, except for the COVID year, I have never put the tree up before Thanksgiving, like how some people go
Hmm.
ahead and like do their tree and all that. I'd never done that. But
No.
2020, oh honey, I think November
Look,
2nd.
get that tree up. We got to
We
celebrate something.
yeah, we just kind of went for it that year. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't done anything Christmassy yet. My across the street neighbor on November 1st night, I don't even have to turn on my outside lights. It is gorgeous. She had her whole house done like
I
professionally,
love that.
and
So
it is
pretty.
like her, and she has got the sweetest adult sons, and I mean, her house literally looks like Santa is about to be here in a minute. So it's
The North
beautiful.
Pole is across the street from you.
Directly across the street. So, I mean, we love it
Yeah.
because we walk the dogs at night and we just get to see her beautiful house already.
That's so
But it also kind
sweet.
of stresses me out because I'm like, oh, whoa, I got to get in the spirit.
Yeah.
So,
It's easy to get in that comparison trap
woo,
for the Christmas and yeah.
yes. And
We
just
we
feel like,
decorate pretty early.
when do y'all,
I
well, and y'all are, is Mike big on Christmas like he is about
He
Halloween?
loves to decorate. Yes, he absolutely loves to decorate for the holidays. Halloween and Christmas are his 2 that he loves, but, I mean, I'll come home and it's as if, the house was sprinkled with some type of magical dust because he'll have it all done, and
Really? Oh,
yes,
how does Johnny like to do it?
and,
Does Mike want to do Mike?
Pre-Mike in my other life, I did it all. I mean, I would balance on the banisters in the attic to hang the wreaths and everything. And he absolutely does almost everything. Now, I'll help him like with some of the Christmas decorating, but yeah, I'm very, very blessed. So I have started to do just a little odd and end things, but nothing major. And I don't know when we're going to get our tree this year. We get live trees and it's just weird how it falls this year, and
Mhm,
so
mhm.
I don't know, we'll have to see, but no judgment from me. I mean, if you put up your
Right,
Christmas tree in mid-October
right.
or the 1st of December, I don't have any strong feelings. Now, I will tell you something I do have a strong feeling about.
Uh-oh, what?
After it's done, it's done, okay? We have got some people in our neighborhood. It is November the 10th. We are recording on November the 10th. They have still got their Halloween decorations up.
Mhm.
I'm not for that.
It hurts to laugh because in my
I'm
head, it was
sorry.
cracking me
I am
up.
not for that. And I would be for them getting some type of letter saying, "Take down your stuff." Because if
That is hysterical. I have a really dear childhood friend that is like you, and she
I've seen
probably
it.
is the reason that I have always been able to keep everything on schedule. But I'm I think that what happens to me is, yeah, I'm ready for the transition by the time it's over. It's not,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think now I'm not going to take stuff down on Christmas Day. I'm not going to
Right.
start boxing up. I have a feeling you could maybe start tucking some things away on Christmas Day.
Mm. Mm.
See, I see. I
We
don't really.
Yeah, Christmas comes down on the 26th, at the latest, the 27th. Now, I'll tell you, one of the main reasons that I feel strongly about the Christmas decorations, and I know some people like, Mike's parents, they are Catholic and they keep it up until like January. What
They do
is
the
it?
12 days. Well, it's because technically Christmas starts on Christmas to them. And so you have,
Exactly. And I
mhm.
think that is fine. But I mean, we're talking people that keep it up till like February. That's a problem.
I did that with
But
a friend of mine kept her tree up till February one year, and and the girls and I were at her house. I said, "Okay, listen." And their tree was ginormous. They had these super high ceilings, and so I think what happened is like if
it's too
her
overwhelming.
well, it's like, and if her husband, I mean, she could physically couldn't do it by herself. And so she's
Right.
like, I just, so it, and I was like, well, girl, we're going to have to put some hearts on this tree. Like, if
Oh,
you're going to keep it here,
right.
we're going to have to keep it rolling. And so my girls and I like stuck little cutout hearts all over her tree. And she was
Yeah.
like,
And
okay, this is making me feel like I've
uh-huh.
taken it too far.
I have heard of people doing that, keeping it up year round and putting, that's whatever. But one of the reasons why I feel that strongly about Christmas is because my birthday's on December 28th. And
Oh,
so
see, that makes
when
sense.
I was growing up, my parents did everyone used to always ask me, "Don't you hate your birthday being on the 28th?" And I really never did. And now that I'm an adult, I realize the reason why I never hated my birthday being on the 28th is because, I mean, when the 26th hit, Christmas stuff was down and birthday stuff came up. They never allowed my family to give me like combo gifts. Birthday gifts were wrapped in birthday paper, not Christmas paper. So they did a really good job at that. And I really think that that's why. Um,
Sorry. I thought I had my phone off and it's in there doing an alarm. Okay, keep
no,
going.
that's okay. Um, but I think that's why feel that way. I could care less now. I mean, at almost 52, I really don't care about that. But as a kid, that was really important. So, and
Well, I love that your parents,
now I
yeah, I
love
love your
combo
parents did
gifts
that.
because I get bigger presents.
That's fun though. I mean, I do. Isn't that funny how we were actually talking about that not long ago about how like when your birthday is in the calendar really does kind of influence how you feel about like that season or that holiday that comes near your birthday. Like Sarah Kate
Mhm.
loves Halloween and she loves fall. And I'm like, which makes sense because her birthday's late October. And I never really
Right.
I never really thought about like so much of what, and I think we would love all these seasons anyway, but it does have an extra, you don't realize how it gives you that extra special little feeling for like when your birthday fell as a kid or whatever.
It
So
really
that's fun.
does.
It's so fun that
Yes.
your
But
parents
I,
made
I love,
it.
love, love, love the holidays. So it's fun, fun. But it can be a very difficult time. And we'll hit on that a little bit
Yes.
in this week's episode of our parenting, doing life with your adult children. And this is part 3 of 4. We have actually we
Wait, it's gonna
broke
be four. Four of four.
4. 4 is this 4 of 4? This is 4
Uh-huh.
of 4. This is 4
Yeah.
of 4. Okay, we broke the second one. Was it the second one we broke into 2?
Hmm.
So we broke the second one into 2 parts, and then this is our 4th part. So this is our final one, and I think it's been a great. Was of course our first book study. I think it's been a good experience for us. I definitely want to do more book studies. I think it's really a good thing to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
and gives another perspective. But this is the book by Jim Burns, Doing Life with Your Adult Children,
Mhm.
and Keep Your Mouth Shut and the Welcome Mat Out. And this is going to be over principles 7, 8, and 9.
Yes.
Um,
And
so we
principle
were,
seven. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just saying some of this Melinda and I have not experienced yet because it does get into like being a grandparent, which I'm super excited about, just not anytime soon. Um, so,
Exactly.
but some of it we can't experience because we haven't been there. But go ahead, Melinda.
But we definitely have friends just scattered all throughout this season
Yeah.
already. It's wild. Here we
Yes.
are, you know. But yeah, no, I was just saying number 7, principle 7 is the high cost of money. And he's just talking about developing financial independence and just remembering the goal for our kids is just develop that sense of responsibility And one of the things to me, there are just a lot of like overarching themes in this that I felt were really nice. And one of, the examples he paints is, you can't learn to ride a bike without a skint knee, and skint knees really hurt and there are tears and it's awful, but you don't then go, okay, forget it. You're not going to ride a bike. I
Right.
feel like so many of my money lessons though were handled as a young person. Like like, I know my mom didn't mean to do this. She'll probably be mad at me for putting this out there, but these are the things that I think though really mess with your head with money. And we just need to be mindful with our kids. But like, I opened a checking account when I was in high school and I got my first job, and I bounced a check because I'd forgotten to record one, and all the things.
Hmm.
And she was like, if you bounce another one, we're closing your account. And it was like, oh, okay. Cause my mom's super tight and she wasn't about wasting that money on a bounce check. And so, a month or two passes, I bounced another one. And the next thing I know, my account's closed and the checks are shredded. And it was just like, and I know that her thing was just matter of fact. My mom's very just like practical. And she was like, then this isn't the right path for you. You don't need to do this yet. You just need to, keep your money in your wallet and whatever, because it was 1987 or something. But what that told me was you don't get to mess up.
Right.
And we didn't like, and then I needed help, like, cause I was like,
Yes.
why wasn't I finding time to record things? I didn't know to make it more of a routine. So I think that I get that we get involved and our feelings get involved because let's be real, she probably paid for my bounce checks, right? And she was
Right.
like, I'm not going to
Right.
keep paying for this. You're going to have to close your account. But, and so she would probably have a whole different perspective about this story. But I do think that the reminder in all of these things, when our kids mess up with money, as we will, as we're teaching them this responsibility, is just to say to ourselves and to them, we're going to goof a few times.
Right.
I just think there has to
That's
be like,
okay.
money can't
You
be
know,
so, we can't prize money so much that you never mess up with it.
right. And I think we can't scare them to the point where they're scared to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make them realize that it's okay and nothing is earth shattering enough where it should cause you so much stress and like
Mm-hmm.
things are fixable. You can do
Mm-hmm.
this. Things are fixable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was surprised to learn that money was ranked as the most common concern among parents of adult children.
Yeah.
So I just, I really, and I mean, that's above all else. That's
Yeah.
above their career,
Yeah.
um, choosing the wrong partner. Money problems were the most ranked as the most worrisome concern that they have about their adult children. So, but yeah, I think just really letting them know that you're going to make mistakes and it's okay. And you're there for advice if they want it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think we've learned throughout this book to wait for them to ask for that advice and don't be so open to give it.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Well,
want to foster that independence.
yes. Yes, 100%. Like, and then the parts of it that are your, like, to me, he's just always reminding us there are things you're in the driver's seat on, and that is yourself and your household and your money, right? And so if our kids are getting our money still, then we do need to talk about, and he says that in the book. I'm on page 131 if people have the book out, but it's develop a clear exit strategy and foster independence. And so to me, that just was the reminder I need to always sort of be preparing the girls for what's coming next.
Right.
And I think this is trial and error for different people. I've heard different friends of mine do this really differently than we have, and in different little stages already. But like one thing, for instance, I've learned that just for me, because I get overwhelmed if I have a million things pinging around at once. And so like,
Mhm.
for example, I talked to a parent this week, like Anna and I went to Boone 2 weeks ago and went up to App State. It was so much fun. And I stayed with some other couples, and one of the couple's daughter just got married. And I was like, well, how did you manage that? Like her, a budget, you know? And she said, basically, I polled some other parents and we kind of said, okay, honey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. And she said, and at first I was just going to have her give me the bill. I was going to pay the florist, then I was going to pay. And she said, my friend said, no, 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 don't do that, because every decision will be emotional for you. She said, give her half of the money up front, and then you get her to tell her when she needs the other half, and then give her the other half and just remind her, okay, you only have X amount more.
Right.
And then it is hers to budget. And if she goes over, it's on her.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so silly, but I probably would have done it the other way, Jennifer.
Right.
And
Oh, I would have to.
myself about every decision. But actually, when Anna and Sarah Kate went to college, I did it the way she did her wedding. I gave them a flat amount. This is how much I'm going to give you to have to set yourself up, to get your sheets for your bedding, to get your kitchen stuff, whatever. That's all I'm giving you. So use it wisely, because if you have pictures on the wall and you don't have plates to cook on, that's too bad. You know, so
Right.
and it was actually fun, because then I didn't worry about I kind of worried about what they bought. I was
Right.
like,
Right. What they chose to do with it.
I
Yeah.
was like, but that's their prerogative. So I think for me, that was a great tip. It made me,
Right.
it was very clear. It was concise. For other people, that would not work probably. My mom, for me, for that, she gave me money each month or something when I got married
Right.
to plan my wedding. But anyway, so I think, but the idea is just, the key is the plan.
Right. You've got to have a plan, and it's not going to, this is at the end of the chapter. I like how he says children won't just drift into a healthy relationship with money. Making good financial decisions requires discipline and a plan. And sometimes, I mean, being the parent, sometimes you've got to implement that discipline and a plan for them. So just depending on how they were raised and what you did implement when they were children. So, and like we've said before, I think we can all look back and be like, oh, I wish I would have done that differently, or given them more financial responsibility. But you can't go back. You can only look forward. So,
Right.
yep,
And,
kind of a
and
good
I
thing to
really
look
feel
at.
like a note I made to myself, Jennifer, was that it would probably be really pertinent for us at this phase with our kids to maybe share with them some of the stories from early in our adult life where we did make mistakes.
Right.
And then to tell them the hardships of figuring out some of the money, just to say, hey, you've got some of this coming. I share this with you to say, you might hit some bumps. You might want to use this as a way to avoid some of them.
Right.
And again, like you said, you probably want to ask if they really even want to hear these stories. But like, for instance,
Right.
I just know the first time I got a credit card, I was in grad school. I was taking classes for my graduate program that I was about to go to. I was at Georgia, and they had some credit card thing. And my roommate and I were like, oh, neither one of us have ever had a credit card. Maybe we should do it. Got a t-shirt and a whatever and a whatever. I don't know. We're like 22, and it was so exciting. Like, we felt so mature, and it wasn't a big mess, but like, definitely I didn't really understand, as I still think a lot of adults don't, how far out it is that you're really, paying, and how behind it gets and whatever. And I did hit a little bump there with my little card situation. I'm thankful that before it got crazy, I mean, rock bottom for me, you and I've talked about this, is not very deep. I don't have to hit the bottom very far before I panic. So thankfully I panicked early, but it was scary to see.
It is. Well, and you don't know what you don't know. And so it's hard to be there, and no one's ever talked to you about being in debt and what that means. So I do feel like that's important. And so something
And
that
just to explain to them how that works, you know?
Right. Exactly. And so, did you have anything else about chapter 7?
No, I really just loved the very last couple of sentences. It says, children won't drift into a healthy relationship with money. Making good financial decisions requires discipline and a plan, and money is not going to bring happiness, but living within your means with good stewardship can keep you and your kids from all kinds of regret. And just, I love that first part about no one drifts into understanding money. And I mean, well, I guess some people, I feel like I know some outliers to that, but for the most part, you have to develop that relationship with money and understand how it works and just to have grace, you know,
Right. Exactly.
figure it out.
Figure it out. So, chapter 8 is about in laws, step families, and the blend.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have experiences with all of those, all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, wear beige and keep your mouth shut. That is great. Great things to remember, especially as the holidays are approaching. This will come out the week of Thanksgiving. So, this is really good information to keep in mind when you're sitting around the dinner table, maybe with people that you have some emotional, things are going on. We just had the election. If people, just don't talk about it. Just don't talk about it. I
And I
mean,
feel like if people do, I feel like before you, because I feel like every family's got somebody that kind of pushes people's buttons.
mhm,
And I feel like if we just try to back up and have enough, like, enough of a pause, and sometimes it's hard because nothing is more triggering than family, but I think if we could just say, hey, let's, think of something to say, practice it with your spouse on the way, but just
right,
say, hey, today is about like being together as a family. We have 364 other days that we
to
can catch
discuss
up
this.
and
Right,
discuss all kinds of hard things. But
right,
don't we, for our kids and our family, want to have a day where we show them it doesn't matter? Nothing matters except for family today. Some families aren't
right.
capable of that, but I hope whoever's listening, I hope yours is, to the degree that you can at least get to there. And if it's not, I mean, gosh, I'm not gonna lie. I've had some Thanksgivings where I sat out on the porch a lot, depending on where we were. Um, I've had those Thanksgivings, and I
Right,
think, but I think it was in the interest of trying to not get into the cuckoo. I didn't want to
right. You just
feel like
don't
I was
wanna
biting my
it's just
tongue.
not worth it.
Right, and so
It's
I
not. I
think,
mean, you're not gonna change their mind, they're not gonna change your mind, and just love them for who they are, and, I just really don't
yeah,
think it's
and
it's a good idea to get into that. I did love the 5 tips to navigate, the
mhm,
relationship.
mhm,
And I think that this can get a little tricky. I heard something the other day and I thought it was so great that when your child, especially when your child gets that significant other, it being a
mhm,
boyfriend or a fiance or a husband or wife, and they have to navigate, some other families. It's just not about you anymore.
right,
Maybe to ask them the question of, what do the holidays look like for y'all? What are some of your plans that you have, and how can I help make this easier for you?
mhm,
What's a day that we can celebrate? You do not have to celebrate Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day. You can celebrate another day. And I think as long as you are flexible and realize what is the real meaning of this, you know,
mhm,
that's that's what you're celebrating for Thanksgiving. Gosh, it's just about being together as a family. And you can do that on another day. You can have that turkey and dressing on another day besides Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. The more stringent you are about that, the less you're going to see your child. And
mhm.
so I think it's
Well,
just
and
important to
sometimes
remember.
Yeah. And I feel like I agree with you about that. And I feel like it's like, I know that, like in my family, like my parents didn't pressure us at all in that
Hmm.
season, which was a great example. Um, but I look back and like the extended family gathering, it was really hard to choose. I mean, if we could just remember our own early parts of this, it was so hard to choose to go either place to my
Right.
parents and miss Johnny's big extended family gathering because he's, siblings, grandparents, cousins, whatever, or to choose to miss my family's big extended. I mean, because you do
Right.
feel like you miss like a big thing. So that your kids are already struggling
Right.
with the change themselves. They also are
Right.
having a hard time. So I think, like you said, if you start doing the manipulation and all that stuff, and that just all goes back to the first six principles about communication, grace, remembering that really most of what you bring up between you and your kid is our own stuff,
Right.
right? I mean, if I'm frustrated and I'm lonely and I'm having separation issues and I'm having like adjustment issues to the new life with the new significant others and whatever, that's just the natural progression, and
Right.
I need to deal with that. Like I need to
Exactly.
nourish and all that stuff. So I do think that the problem is like we kind of don't take care of ourselves leading up to these things, and then
Right.
psh, it
And
implodes.
it hits you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
regarding step families, I think the major thing to remember here is just being respectful of the other family, that it's
Yes.
about the kids, especially when, they're, gosh, if there's a step family and then you've just added your family, the step family, and their family, that's three, possibly four. I mean, you've got to realize that that is very difficult for your child. So just to be respectful of that and understanding,
Mhm.
and if there are, try to have a good relationship with the biological parent. That is always a good idea, especially when there ends up being grandkids involved. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it can be very tricky, but as long as you just take care of yourself, so much of the stress that we put on to our children really is not about them, it's about us.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to make new traditions, and that's okay. Um, some traditions are meant to be kept and some are meant to be changed, and that is okay.
Yes. I love I love when hear people get creative, and I've heard you say this with blended families.
Mhm.
I just love when you get creative. And I mean, maybe, I do want to speak. Of course, we all want to get along. Of course, we all want harmony. Of course, even within our families that maybe we don't have um, blended in the sense of, of second marriage or whatever. But I think most families have some of that in there, and I know we
Right.
do, both sides of our families, and it's actually an opportunity to, just make adjustments, work with everybody. But I think that if you do have a family where it doesn't work, I know I cannot imagine how sad that is, but I just hope that people can find what does work, like something that works, something that,
Right.
like, make a new tradition. If are just kind of, can you kind of launch something positive from where you are?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, and my heart goes out to people who this Christmas or this Thanksgiving is their first one in a new situation. Like if it's your
Right.
first one and you're not going to spend it with anybody, or if it's your first one and you've just been, you know, your kid's just gotten married, or your first one and it's your own divorce or something. I mean, it's the
Right.
first is hard. Gosh,
It is
that's where
hard.
like 80% of your grace needs to be given.
Exactly,
The
exactly, and
first one's a doozy.
I think just opening yourself up to, maybe suggesting to your child, if you know that your child is having to choose between your house and, the boyfriend's parents' house, make that suggestion, "Why don't we celebrate the Sunday before or, the Sunday after or
Or we'll come
whenever?"
to you, I
Yes,
think.
we'll come to you. How can we make this easier for you?
Mhm.
I think
I
that it's about being with them and, celebrating that, holiday, but you can do that on a different day. So
I truly, in those early years of figuring out my life with Johnny, probably to me, what felt the most generous from my parents was for them to offer to come to us and
right,
just because it released the guilt, it released it has to be this way at our house. This is what we always do.
right.
And it just felt so life-giving. Yeah, I love how he just like goes into the reminders about well, was there anything else in that one? I don't want to skip ahead,
I
but
don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think just being flexible and understanding is the most important thing to remember for the
yeah,
holidays with
yeah,
your children, and that
yeah.
includes birthdays too.
I mean,
We can get kind
all
of
the things, all the
yeah.
traditions that you have in your
Oh, yeah.
family.
And I think we can get kind of emotional about that being the mom, but,
Mhm.
our entire goal in raising this little human is for them to be a fully functioning adult, and part of that is they are creating their own traditions,
Mhm.
and that's gonna be on their birthday. They are gonna have their own things that they do. It's
Mhm.
not all about you anymore, and it's time for you to do a self-check. So,
Mhm.
sometimes that can be hard and kinda eye-opening. So, it's
Yeah, my
hard.
mom was always super supportive because my grandmothers, wonderful women, but they both gave my parents so much grief about the holidays. So when Johnny and I got married, my mom was like, "Let me tell you what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna give
Right,
you grief." But yeah, you're right. Just flexibility, new tradition.
absolutely.
And you do want your kids to be in solid adult lives with like carrying. I mean, if you think of it like how fun will it be to see what they do, like what they
Right,
come up with for their family. So that
right,
last
exactly.
principle is about being a grandparent. And
Mhm.
yeah, you and I, we are not quite ready to do this
No.
one yet, but I do love just again the reminder to just love and have fun and enjoy and keep our mouths shut. And
Yes.
I already see though, I mean, I do see how it's going to be interesting when we are in this season, Jennifer, because like we have so many young friends with babies because like everybody that ever nannied my girls, we're still friends with them. My girls babysit for like a gazillion people. That's like
Right,
the, that's like their main little bread and butter. And we just love all these families with their young ones. And things have already just changed so much, right? Like the way young moms are doing things. And so sometimes I do find myself just being like, oh God, I wish she would just not worry about that. I wish she would
right,
just, or I'm like, "Oh gosh, I wish I wish she'd see how much easier it'd be if they just had a little bit of routine," or,
right,
why are
right,
they already letting them watch a screen?" I find myself doing these things, and I'm
right,
like,
right. You're like, "I can't do this when I'm a grandparent."
"Right, it is making me see that already," right? Like,
Yeah.
it's making me see already, like, "Oh, Melinda, be careful with your little judgy self."
Right. Yeah, I think it's hard and just to really realize that our children are going to parent completely different than us, and
Mhm.
they're gonna make mistakes just like we made, and that is okay. Mistakes are not bad, and even if our children make them, I just think it's really important to just, you're gonna have scars on your tongue from biting it, but it's worth the scars to keep your mouth closed. So
Yeah.
but it's such a fun thing to think about. And we do have some friends that are going through this stage right now. And I love that, it says being a grandparent may be your greatest legacy. So I am very excited for that period in time when it does happen. So God only knows when that will be, but it'll happen at the right time. So, but
Yes.
this has been so amazing, and I would like to end this book study just going back to the very first chapter, and end it with a prayer.
I love that.
It is on page 24, a prayer of relinquishment.
Mm-hmm.
God, I relinquish my children to your care and watchfulness. Give me the courage to let go as they move, sometimes ever so slowly, toward responsible adulthood. Grant me discernment to know when to carefully intervene and the restraint to do so only when absolutely necessary. I acknowledge that this is one of the hardest transitions I have ever had to make, and that I need your guidance and insight in all things. Help me to love my children as you love them, lavishly and with grace. Amen.
Yes. I love
So,
that.
yeah, that was kind of a good way to end it. But this has been so fun. Again, for our listeners, please go get Doing Life with Your Adult Children by Jim Burns. Mine is full of sticky notes and lots of highlights and underlines. So
Yeah,
I know that I will be using this as a reference. So this was
definitely.
great. This was
Yeah.
great. And this was not so bad, Melinda, doing remote. It's okay. We can do this every now and then.
That's right. That's right. We can do it.
Yes.
All right.
And
Until
please
next
go
time.
like the Empty Nest Quest. Give us a review, a rating, and it just helps get the word out. Share it with your empty nester friends. And I'm excited about our community that we're building. It's
Yes, it's
and I
so
love
fun.
to hear all the feedback as well.
Yes. All right.
That
Until
sounds good.
next
Well,
time.
yes, y'all have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.